Here's a story about the Andromeda Strain. This is a story that Gene Polito told me. Gene Polito was a director of photography, and he was one of my teachers down at the USC School of Cinema and Television, in second unit on that. But here's the story that he told about. I'll have to look it up. See, this video blog thing, you have to look it up, and they'll have to put a subtitle, but I'm not going to bother. If you care, you could look it up. But he was around when they shot the Andromeda Strain. I know he worked on it in some capacity. I know he shot Colossus the Foreman Project. And I know he shot Westworld, and I know he shot Prime Cut, and he worked on Mannix, and he worked on the first season of Lost in Space, and he'd been around around the block a lot. He knew everything about Hollywood, and he was a really funny guy because he went up to his office at the film school, and he had all these photos of lovely ladies, like on the Jackie Gleason show or something. And he was standing there, and he had his little light meter, standing next to the girl, he was checking the light levels. There's some pretty girls. He had a lot of shots like that. There were still photos he put up on the lot, and on the wall of his office. That was really fun. He treated me very well. He was a great guy. He told me that his father was Saul Polito, who shot Body and Soul with John Garfield, so he had a very good pedigree in the Hollywood industry. But he told me that he said, when he was working in the industry, some days it was a 1-pill day and some days it was a 2-pill day. And then when it got to be a 3-pill day, he retired and played golf and taught film school. And he was a bit of a joker about it, but, it can get to you. But the story about the Andromeda Strain is this. They're going to make the Andromeda Strain. And if you've seen that movie, there's a big science lab that's buried under the desert. And it's 5 levels. It's 5 stories tall. And at the bottom is the most, level 5, it's the most containment. And so they had this big set that was this big cylindrical set, and they needed to build it. And, that was in the days where they pretty much did everything on a stage. So what they did, if I remember correctly, and I could be wrong, it could be either 3 stories underground, I think it was 3 stories underground and 2 stories above ground. They were on a sound stage. And it wasn't tall enough to build the set. So what they did is they went in and they dug a hole into the stage floor. And this is not uncommon. They did it at Raleigh Studios when I worked there on stage 11 for Death Becomes Her, for the swimming pool. They actually built a swimming pool in the middle of the stage, dug a big hole, built a swimming pool. All that marble was faux painted plasterboard and stuff, masonite. And they shot the one sequence where he falls through the skylight into the pool and he talks to Isabella Rossellini and all that. And the next day, they're like, are the dailies okay? Yeah, the dailies are okay. Everything's fine. And they struck that set and they filled in that hole. And they had the pool guy in there for one day. And it was hot and humid and icky. But they cleaned it up for one day and blew cold air in there and they shot that scene. As soon as they knew it was right, they filled it in. So when they did the Andromeda Strain, they had to build this set. So they dug a big hole in the middle of the stage. And they built the set and they bought all of the stainless steel in LA. They went to all the industrial metal supply stores and they bought all of the stainless steel, and all the restaurant suppliers couldn't get any stainless steel for a month because it was all gone. They bought everything and they used it on all the sets in that movie. At least that's the story that Gene told. Well, of course, they dug this hole and they had all this dirt, and it was quite a bit of dirt. And so they put it in a warehouse temporarily. And, what the idea is they'll truck it there and then they'll pick it up and bring it back and dump it back in the hole and fill it over once they're, done with the movie. Well, one of the things about making a film that you may not know is that the shooting crew is not the wrap crew. The shooting crew works their ass off, and by the time they are done, when they call wrap on the last day, it's like, bam! It's like an explosion, and then it's a ghost town, and everybody is gone. I mean, they say their goodbyes. The director gives, if he's smart, he gives a very short speech, and the producer likewise, and everybody is gone. They're out the door. They're picking up their gear, they're picking up this, can I have that, whatever it might be. They're trading numbers and making plans to go to lunch with people, but they are gone, within the hour, the place is a ghost town. And they send in another crew to strike the set. And this obviously happened on the Andromeda Strain. So they came in and they struck the set in the Andromeda Strain, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and time went by. And a year and a half later, the accountants, I think it was Warner Brothers, I don't know, the accountants were like, hey, what are we paying rent on in this warehouse? They're like, what are we paying rent on in the Hi Clip? So how are you, baby? What are we paying rent on in this warehouse? And so they say, well, go over there and see what's in this warehouse. So they sent this guy over to look in this warehouse, and there's a big pile of dirt in the middle of this warehouse that they're paying rent on, and have been paying rent on for something like 18 months or 2 years or something. And what it was the dirt from the stage floor when they dug the pit to build the sets for the Andromeda Strain. And when the strike crew came in, they looked at the hole in the ground and they struck out all the stuff, and then they went and bought some dirt and filled it in and rebuilt the stage floor or poured cement, whatever it was they needed to do. And so they bought new dirt and they didn't put back the old dirt, and they paid rent on the warehouse for a really long time. So then they had to pay someone to come and haul away the dirt from the warehouse and get rid of it for them so they could stop paying rent on the warehouse. That's a funny story about Hollywood. Okay. I should do the Vlogbrothers thing, right? They're awesome.